Here's another day out for the Old Car Social Club, this time at the Illawarra Light Rail, and we're going to have a look at Brian's 1971 Valiant Coupe.
Valiant?
71?
Valiant two-door?
It doesn't look like 71 to me, but it looks more modern than that. Anyway, tell us about how you got the car, Brian.
Well, it's actually my son's. He bought it as his first car for his 19th birthday. And I said, don't bring any project cars home, son. So he went out and bought the first car he saw in undercoat and totally wrecked. And was just going, and it only had 6 weeks registration on it. Struggled and got it home. And then I got the job of getting it going so it'll pass rego. Then later on I got it painted at North Sydney TAFE by the students, and I do trimming at TAFE, so I trimmed the inside of it as a TAFE project. And as we've gone on, we've changed from 6 cylinders to V8 power, and changed diff ratios and gearboxes and different, from 4 speeds to 5 speeds to close ratios and goodness knows what. So we've had a bit of fun. Altered the suspension because they used to flop all over the road. Put rack and pinion steering in it with power assisted. It's got a Supra 5-speed gearbox in it at the moment, and pretty well that's what you see at the moment.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the engine here.
Yeah.
It looks, it's what you call very impressive.
The original motor in this model was a 245 6-cylinder Hemi. That was where Sterling Moss came to Australia and promoted it. Later on, when that one was worn out in 1992, we put a 265 in it with a mild cam, extractors, a 4-barrel, and so on. And we drove that for 80,000 miles until it got all oily, and then we put the V8 in it. The V8 was purchased off a guy that was another Chrysler enthusiast, but the motor was a full race at that time and undrivable. So it's had a milder cam, a smaller 4-barrel carburetor, electronic ignition, and a few other things that make it dependable put on it. So it idles real smooth, but when you rev it up, it goes pretty hard.
Yes. It looks like it's like a beast and a half, doesn't it? It's really going to go.
Oh, that was the other thing. I put air conditioning in it.
Oh,
So it's got.
didn't it
Also
come with air?
fitted up. No, not. This one about 5 years ago, when it still had the 6-cylinder in it, I put the Vintage Air underdash air conditioning in it, and then when I went to the V8, had to remake all brackets on the front of the engine, well, to mount the power steer as well as the air conditioning, and reinstalled it. On a hot summer's day, these cars need the air conditioning because I'm getting a bit old.
I'll have a look inside, eh? Film up.
In America, these are marketed as a Dodge Dart. They have slant 6 motors in them over there. They never got the Hemi motor in America, and they ran the slant up until 1976. The Dodge Darts, they made them, many of them over there, and Chrysler, rather than paying the money for a new body, they just imported the bare 2-door body out to Australia and put a Valiant nose on it. So the rear is Dodge Dart, the nose is Valiant VG.
So basically the dash and that's original,
That's
isn't it?
standard. It's got a Pacer dash in it.
Yeah.
It's got the rev counter on it.
And you still got the under the thingo air, even though you had to
that's
change it all.
It works too. That's the Vintage Air they call it. It's just the
Yeah.
dash.
Yes. Well,
The front seats are out of late model Commodore, The reason for that is because you need the seats to tip forward so you can get in the back. But they must be out of V6 or a pretty basic Commodore, because the top CV8 and all that have got leather seats and they're very flashily moulded. These are a fairly basic bucket seat, but they're comfortable enough for a Valiant driver. And when I had them engineered, the guy said, "Oh, you need to put clips on the back of the seat so you can get out from the back." And I said, "But they're Commodore stuff, mate. You don't need to alter that. They work in a Commodore." And he says, "Nah, you've got to weld on some levers so you can get out from the back seat." So I don't know how they worked in a Commodore, but I ended up having to weld on extra levers and arms so you can lift the levers up and the seat will slide forward and tip so you can get out. Rather strange.
You never think about that, do you?
Yeah.
The last person trying to get out.
It's fully engineered, and while it was $1,000 odd to engineer it, I had the seat belts for the child restraints put in the back. My son, that actually owns the car, has got 2 young boys, and often when he takes it out, he puts the child seats in the back. So that keeps that legal as well, to keep the kids' seats in.
I mean, after all this, your son brought it home and everything, you've done it all up, and he still gets the car.
Worse still, it's parked in my driveway. So it's been at home since 1992. It's been to his place one day, overnight. So he doesn't drive it a lot. So I use it from time to time just to get the miles on it. Probably more than time to time, but keep the miles up because you can't leave them sit around too much. But we go to the Chrysler on the Murray most every year, down at Albury. That's really the big drive of the year that we do. Just down there and back on the freeway. So it doesn't do much work really, just a couple of club runs.
Okay. Thanks very much for letting us in on the old Valiant Coupe.